the rational and zero test. So in the rational and zero test, rather than trying to find the number of complex, real, and real positive and real negative, the rational and zero test is just telling you what are all the possible rational zeros. So to do that, you got to make sure, again, always your polynomials in standard form. Always polynomials in standard form. Then we identify p, which is our constant, and then q, which is our leading coefficient. It doesn't really matter if they're negative or positive. We're just looking at their value. So the rational zero test said you're going to take the factors of p plus or minus p over plus or minus q. So we know that it's going to be plus or minus the factors of 15 over plus or minus the factors of 3. Again, don't really worry about if they're positive or negative. It doesn't really matter. So can I determine what the factors of 15 and of q are and 3 are? Remember, factors are numbers that divide into it, right? We talked about polynomials are factors if they divide into the other polynomial. So what are all the numbers? You know that the number itself is a factor. So what other numbers do we have? 15, we can do plus or minus 5, comma, plus or minus 3, comma, plus or minus 1. And the factors of 3 are plus or minus 3 and 1. Does that make sense? Any questions? No questions. Everybody feels good. I'm still pausing, hoping and waiting. Everybody's OK. All right, so now you need to find all the combinations. So basically, you're doing 15 over 3, 15 over 1, 5 over 3, 5 over 1, 3 over 3, 3 over 1, 1 over 3, 1 over 1. So it looks like this. 15 over 3, comma, plus or minus 15 over 1, comma, plus or minus 5 over 3, comma, plus or minus 5 over 1, comma, plus or minus 3 over 3, comma, plus or minus 3 over 1, plus or minus, comma, 1 over 3, comma, plus or minus 1 over 1. Does everybody see how I wrote every single combination? I took every single factor and put it over every single factor. I took every single factor in the numerator and put it over every single factor in the denominator, right? Now, I'm writing this out so you guys can see this, so I didn't make a mistake. However, your answer is not going to look like this on a test or anything. It's going to be simplified. So the simplified answer, usually they also have them in like ascending order. I'm not going to go through that. You guys can kind of check that on your own if that's the way. But let's just simplify them all. 15 over 1 is just 15. Three over 3 is 1. And you guys see how 1 over 1 is 1, but I already have 1, right? So I don't need to write it twice. Does everybody see that? So this is just the simplified form. Oh, good idea. 15 over 3 is what? 5. I already have 5, right? Good. Thank you. So these are actually the number of rational zeros. So there's a couple duplicates in there. But that's all the possible rational zeros. OK? Now, here is the $1,000,000 question.